Excuse my voice, I'm losing it. I'm the Internal Director for University of Oregon, METRA, and today we are working together with the Multicultural Center with the University of Oregon to put together a movie screening of Hole in the Wall. And to explain further what the movie looks like and the process of it, we have Sergio Castillo here from New York joining us today as a guest speaker. He is an actor, he's a writer, works in theater, and so without further ado, we'll welcome him up to the front and he'll speak to you a little bit more.
Thank you. Well, first I would like to thank the METRA chapter of the University of Oregon for hosting this event. I would like to give a special thank you to Andrea Castillo. Without her, this event would not have been possible, so thank you very much. It's a great honor to be speaking to all of you. It isn't without meaning that we have all assembled to see a film about a classical dreamer. A film about an immigrant's audacity to dream and his tireless efforts to fight for it. Struggle is the byproduct of ambition. One needn't grant this film an extensive analysis to see the metaphor and indeed value in depicting a man who struggles in the face of constant adversity. Films like Hole in the Wall speak to the best in our nature. It's not a tale of rugged individualism, but of community. It's a story about an immigrant's willingness to survive in a city that wishes to consume him and his loving family. As a child of two immigrants, this story was important to me. I had been working in professional theater since I was 16 years old, and when I quickly learned I had to undertake this monumental role, I felt as though everything I'd done in my career had been leading up to this project. There was no time to think, nor was there room for any doubt. I had to delve into this role fully and live it intensely. All I could say after reading the script for the first time was that I had a responsibility to play this part with the utmost strength and dignity. While it might not be entirely fair that artists of color are always grappling with the politics of identity in America, I knew I had to represent this demographic with complete and utter respect. Latino representation in film is scarce, and it is hardly flattering, let alone accurate. We either have to endure the gratuitous stereotypes created to dehumanize us, or once again hear about the trials and tribulations of the Latino bourgeoisie. But things are changing. Beyond the horizon is an inevitable renaissance that will amplify and celebrate what is different. This film is different. Hole in the Wall is the story of the Latino proletariat. It takes on the radical idea that Latinos are human, and that we are subject to all the vulnerabilities that make us human. Latino immigrants never stop fighting the uphill battle to achieve the American dream. But what this film discovers within itself is that these dreams of prosperity can only be achieved if we look to each other, learn from one another, draw upon one another in times of both triumph and defeat. None of us stand here alone. Dreams can easily fall into the world of obscurity and irrelevance without action. It is quite moving to see so many young people taking to the streets to demand their voices be heard. You are galvanizing, you are unrelenting, you are dedicated, you are passionate, and most importantly, you are organizing yourselves in a way that demonstrates true political power. I've been extremely impressed with the activism I have seen in the last couple of years. As a former Occupy Wall Street activist, I know how things can look grim when you constantly fight battles you do not win. This is the test of an activist, and indeed of any revolutionary. Those who claim to be revolutionaries and see the revolution just beyond the horizon and then become delusioned when the revolution doesn't formulate were never revolutionaries to begin with. They never had the true concept, the moral certainty that justice must prevail. And this doesn't come by writing articles in journals. It doesn't come from status updates on social media. It comes from the work you are doing now. Mobilizing the masses, organizing grassroots efforts, developing mutual aid, creating autonomy to prove that we as a community can be in charge of our destiny. It is for this reason this film is important to me. As the proposed border wall being developed by this nation's grotesque leader has really nothing to do with immigration. It is a symbol or gesture to preserving white American identity. The dreamers we hear of represent far more than themselves. People are easily able to see themselves in these dreamers because they represent what America will and should become. The time for Latinos to empower themselves in all walks of life has come to America. But we mustn't forget that there are more immigrants out there who are not dreamers, and they deserve our absolute and complete support. Immigration may be a generation-defining issue, but we must also not forget our struggles against poor housing, unemployment, underemployment, economic exploitation, police brutality, reactionary schooling, political oppression, social degradation, cultural humiliation. These are struggles we all face as a community. We must fight for the dreamers with all we have, but we must also fight for the even more vulnerable immigrant population. And we must do this by giving them and ourselves two of our most precious gifts, our compassion and our humanity. We must never forget of the people who are not given a narrative. We must remember the voice of the voiceless. How often do we really acknowledge the unseen? How much effort do we put forth to recognizing the vulnerabilities of those who are considered invisible? How often do we hear the voice of the Latino proletarian immigrant? Oscar Entrega, whom I portrayed, is a man who has merits and flaws. He is far from perfect. But what makes him unique in an age defined almost solely on mass consumption is that he is willing to sacrifice. This should not be so easily dismissed. We live in an era where sacrifice is rare and is often selfish. Oscar has no other option than continue to press forward, to meet every hurdle put before him with driven passion and an unwillingness to yield. It is here where he reflects the true nature of the Latino immigrant. The future may be beyond our vision, but it is not entirely beyond our control. Our community is enduring many hardships in the age of reactionary politics. We're living in times of moral decay and cultural uncertainty. Fascism is on the rise. But so is resistance to it. And whether students are leading the charge to prove that they can wield true political power by galvanizing themselves, or whether it's by punching